Good evening, and welcome to tonight's city council meeting. We start tonight's council meeting with a prayer and pledge. If you so choose to join me, please bow your head. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to serve the citizens. Ask you to be with us tonight as we go about deliberating the city business. Ask you to be with all our citizens, public safety workers, our officers, our firefighters, and those that are out there. Keep them safe and in your will. In Jesus' name we ask, amen. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Millen. Councilmember Tibbs. Councilmember Bench. Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Councilmember Moore. Councilmember Bryant. Councilmember Balls. Councilmember Humphreys. Mayor Browning. We have 9 members present, 0 absent. We have a quorum.
And remind the audience to remain quiet and refrain from excessive speaking too loudly out there so it doesn't interfere with our council meeting. Also, this is an excellent time to turn off or silence all electronic devices. As you can see, council members are quickly searching for their phones and find out if they have it turned down. So please do that for us. We'd appreciate that. Madam Clerk, do you have any announcements?
First of all, I want to ask a question. Do you know anyone that's looking for summer employment? If you do, please let them know that the city has openings for Celebration Park attendants and temporary laborers. Adults and active high school and juniors and seniors are encouraged to apply. Full details are on the city's website at www.saginaw-mi.com, or you can call a human resource office at 759-1570. That's 759-1570. City Council will meet on Monday, May 7th at 5 o'clock p.m. for a Committee of the Whole meeting for fiscal year 2019 budget presentations. The regular meeting will follow at 6:30 p.m. And City Council will meet on Monday, May 14th at 5 o'clock p.m. for a Committee of the Whole meeting to continue fiscal year 2019 budget presentations. The 2018 yard waste collection service has begun, and it's on the same day as your regular trash day. Yard waste must be in a paper yard waste bag or in 35-gallon or smaller garbage can, weighing not more than 50 pounds. And it must have a yard waste sticker affixed to the front of it, and these stickers are available in the city clerk's office. Mayor, next we have a proclamation. It is declaring April 27th, 2018 as Arbor Day.
Okay, and I'd like to invite Tyrone, Harge, come on up, Tyrone, and Mayor Pro Tem Floyd Clark. No, you have the other one. Okay, so it's going to be over here to Brenda Moore. Well, here, give me this here. I can do it. No, we'll just do it this way. Go ahead, Brenda. Thank you.
City of Saginaw Proclamation, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Moultrie proposed to the Nevada Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska and now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas the trees can reproduce the, I hope you give me this, of our precious toll soil by winds and water, cutting, heating, and cooling cause, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce living, giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas the trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, woods for our homes, and for our fire. Trees also increase property value, enhance the economical virtues of the business area and beauty of our community. The city of Saginaw would like to recognize trees for the Tri-City that was established in 2008. Since the inception, has planted over 682 trees in a variety of locations that includes Hartstuff Street, Lockwood Street, Harmon Court, Congress Court B, Muslim Court in the city of Saginaw. And whereas the trees provide numerous of assets and economical benefits in which trees, for that, Tri-City has made a significant investment to the community by purchasing plants, watering, and nurturing trees in the city of Saginaw to provide the quality of life for the citizens, for the city residents. And whereas they are planted, are a source of joy, spirit, renewal. Trees for the Tri-City have cooperated with the city of Saginaw in committing to monitor trees and replacing trees, and we've lost a variety of locations within the city. In 2017, the city of Saginaw street sections of the right-of-way division were pruned 195 trees and removed 232 trees. Whereas now there be resolved, I, Dennis D. Bronny, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, do proclaim April the 27th as Arbor Day in the City of Saginaw and invite all citizens to observe of this day in the City Council chambers of City Hall on May 1st, 2018 at 11 a.m. Furthermore, I urge the citizens to plant trees to glean the hearts and promote the well-being of the future generation. In witness thereof, I hereby set my hand as a call to seal for the city of Saginaw to be affixed the 16th day of April in the year of our Lord 2018. Dennis D. Browning, Mayor. Councilpersons Floyd Clark, Mayor Pro Tem, Michael Balls, Annie Bench, Clint Bryant, John Humphreys, John Mills, Brenda F. Moore, and Damon L. Tibbs, Tim Morales, City Manager.
Please do.
Well, first off, on behalf of the Green Team, I just want to just thank you for this honor. I also want to thank the city manager for allowing us to be an active committee for so long. This is it's been a pleasure for me, as has to be since I've been doing this 6 years now after I retired. So just want to just thank our committee, Linda Armitrout, Jen Toffel, Amanda Keel, Matt Shucknick, Jamie Vert, Michelle O'Day, Tracy Lefebvre, and Heather Howe. I just want to just say on a personal note, they're very dedicated to the commitment of this committee. We'd like to put a positive spin on recycling and just to bring a positive atmosphere through the city of Saginaw. We have done we have a annual Christmas door decoration, which we do, which is a really great event. I would ask the council persons to come around here and see some of the doors that the city employees do, and they only can use recycled material. And their creativity is amazing. You have to come and see this and see the stories behind it. Our winner did a whole thing on her father going off to war. And she did all that with pictures of him, and she did that with all recycled material. Everything that was used has to be recycled. I want to invite you to our 9th annual Go Green celebration. We have a theme for the committee. Our theme is to educate, to motivate. And we came up with that 9 years ago. We think it's a pretty good, it pretty much tells what we do as a committee. We have our theme this year, though, is reduce, reuse, recycle, replenish, and restore. We're going to have the farmer's market here, Irish waste diversion, office depot. We're going to have a toiletry drive, so by all means, bring your old toiletries. I can't say this in public, but the hotel stuff that y'all be stealing, that would be great. Just want to thank the mayor who came to our event last year and any council persons who came in years past. We're going to have a drippy faucet and leaky toilet information so we can know how to do when that happens in the house, as I'm sure it has happened in everybody's household. We're going to have a trash to treasure contest. We did that 2 years ago, and there was one of them that was done with all the sports. I'm a big sports guy, and it was full of sports, and she made a quilt. And over in public down here, y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, she made a quilt with nothing but sports paraphernalia on it, and it was amazing. I was really trying to steal that, but she seemed to catch me on that. We're going to have tomato and plant seedlings to give away, which we do every year, and it's going to be at Saginaw City Hall, council chambers, as said in the proclamation, 11 to 1 p.m. on May the 1st. This is to everybody who hear my voice and to the council. Consider this a personal invitation. Thank you. Welcome.
Proclamation to Saginaw Bar Association declaring May 1st, 2018 as Law Day.
And we'll invite Dan Straka, Vice President of the Saginaw County Bar Association. And this time, Mayor Pro Tem Floyd Clark will.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dan, welcome. It's my honor and especially my privilege to be able to read this proclamation on behalf of Law Day from City Council. Proclamation. Whereas Law Day is an occasion of public acknowledgement of our nation's heritage of justice, liberty, and equality under the law, and whereas Congress issued a joint resolution in 1961 declaring May 1st as Law Day, which is a national day to recognize and celebrate our justice system and the rule of law. And whereas Law Day allows all citizens to recognize and honor the contributions of the lawyers, judges, and law enforcement agencies and individuals in our community for the responsibilities they bear to the commitment of the rule of law. And whereas the American Bar Association has designated the 2018 Law Day theme to be, quote, separation of powers, framework for freedom, close quote, in recognition of the numerous contributions the 14th Amendment has made to American law and society. And whereas the 14th Amendment constitutionally defined national citizenship for the first time and guaranteed that the privileges or immunities of United States citizenship would not be denied to any individual citizen. And whereas the 14th Amendment has served as the basis of and inspiration for landmark civil rights legislation and court decisions protecting and advancing the rights of Americans. And whereas promoting public understanding of the roots of our freedom are an important component in the civic education of the citizens of the city of Saginaw. And whereas on Law Day, May 1st, 2018, let us recommit to building a future rooted in the rule of law, in which our laws apply equally to everyone and future generations will know a fair and just world. Now therefore be it resolved, Dennis D. Browning, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, does hereby proclaim May 1st, 2018 as Law Day in the City of Saginaw and calls upon the people of the City of Saginaw to acknowledge the importance of our legal and judicial systems with appropriate ceremonies and activities in support of the observance. The Mayor further encourages schools, businesses, media, religious institutions, civic and service organizations to join members of the bar and of the bench in commemorating Law Day. In witness whereof, the Mayor has hereunto set his hand and caused the seal of the City of Saginaw to be affixed the 16th day of April in the year of our Lord, 2018. Signed, Dennis D. Browning, Mayor. Councilpersons Floyd Clark, Mayor Pro Tem. Michael Balls, Annie Bench, Clint Bryant, John Humphreys, John Milne, Brenda F. Moore, and Demond Tibbs, and Timothy Morales, City Manager. Please step forward.
If I may. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for having me here tonight. I especially want to thank those councilmen who are also attorneys, Councilman Tibbs, Councilman Humphreys, and Councilman Clock. On behalf of the Saginaw County Bar Association and the Law Day Committee, I thank you for this proclamation. Law Day is celebrated nationally on May 1st, as the proclamation states. Also that this year the theme is separation of powers. Alas, I was unable to come up with the fact pattern for our annual Law Day mock trials that involved that, so we went with something a little bit easier, which was animal abuse. And to that end, we have our annual Saginaw County Bar Association luncheon on May 1st, where Lisa Stoffel, the Director of Animal Care and Control, will be speaking. I invite all of you to attend, especially the attorneys, and you can RSVP through the Saginaw County Bar Association if you wish to attend. This year we had to accommodate the schools, we had our actual Law Day mock trials on March 22nd at the courthouse here in the city. We had 14 schools from all around the county. I'm happy to report that 3 of the 4 city schools attended and participated in Law Day. If anyone on the council can help convince Arthur Hill to join next year, I will be happy to find another team for them to go against. And that's all I have. And I want to thank you again for letting me be here today for the proclamation, for letting me speak.
Here, our next order of business is public hearings.
And the purpose of the public hearing is for the public to address council as a whole and for council to receive comments for consideration when action may be taken. Speakers must limit their remarks to the subject of the hearing. Begin by stating your name. The main presenter or designated representative will be allowed 15 minutes. Other speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Speakers may ask general questions, but shall not ask questions of individual council members, city staff, or the audience. And the public hearing is not a question and answer session. Madam Clerk?
Our public hearing tonight is for an obsolete property rehabilitation certificate at 2230 Euclid Street.
Good evening, Mayor Browning, Mayor Pro Tem Clock, council members, and Manager Morales. I'm Tom Miller with Saginaw Future, and I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act request before you. The Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act, or OPRA, provides for a tax incentive to encourage the redevelopment of obsolete buildings that are contaminated, blighted, or functionally obsolete. This requires a 2-step process. The first step is for council to create the OPRA district, which you approved at a previous meeting. And the second step tonight is to consider the actual application for exemption. If approved, the OPRA certificate would freeze the property tax for up to 12 years. The OPRA law was enacted to encourage individuals or businesses to rehabilitate buildings which, without new investment, might be destined for demolition. Because of the tax cap, granting of any new OPRA certificate removes the property from the ad valorem tax roll and creates a new revenue stream for the city of Saginaw. I feel like it's getting old. I say the same comments every time. I think I have them memorized by now. But Mr. Stempel and I have been working with this company. This is the Leonard Syrups project. It's interestingly enough, it's one of the last domestically made in Michigan pop companies or soda pop companies. So there used to be a number of them in Detroit, and through attrition and their competition with big national providers, I think all but Leonard Syrups has gone away, and they're the lone remaining company that produces pop in Michigan. And so they obviously have a huge presence in the metro Detroit area, but wanted to expand northward. And they looked at a number of sites in Genesee County, which was a little too far south, and then in Saginaw and Bay and Midland, because we're kind of the last stop on I-75 before you get into a little more rural territory. And they decided to choose the old Cincinnati Brothers building, which is off of 46 on the east side. And so they're gonna service this market, but everything essentially south of the bridge from Saginaw here. I think they have another location in Grand Rapids, which will service the west side of the state. And they call it pop in a box. So you probably won't see cans or bottles, but it's what restaurants use. And there's a cart that they have, and they have boxes of pop, and it mixes with carbonated water for the restaurants. And so they'll be offering that to local restaurants, and then they'll also be selling or leasing CO2 tanks and nitrogen tanks for the commercial restaurant industry as well. So it's a good project. Obviously, that building has been vacant for a number of years. They're taking the old storage, the old coolers, and converting them into cold storage for their products, and they're going to be hiring a number of people, and it's a good project. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak reference the obsolete property rehabilitation certificate at 2230 Euclid Street? Is there anyone else that would like to speak reference the obsolete property rehabilitation certificate at 2230 Euclid Street? And third, final time, is there anyone who wishes to speak reference the obsolete property rehabilitation certificate at 2230 Euclid Street? Being none?
Move to close the public hearing.
It's been moved and supported to close the public hearing. Is there any other comments by council members? Being none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Our next order of business is personal appearances.
And as we begin tonight's business, we welcome your thoughts and input. If your name is called, please come to the podium. Please introduce yourself and state your home address. To be helpful, let us know if you're speaking solely or on behalf of a group. All speakers will have a 3-minute limit, which is timed by the clerk, so be sure to cover your main points. Hearing from the citizens we represent is very important to us. We ask that you speak slowly and clearly so that we don't miss what you have to say. Finally, since you are speaking as a representative of our citizens, we ask that you be courteous and respectful to the members of the public present, to the citizens watching on SGTV, and to this council so that we can give serious consideration to your concerns. All follow-ups will be referred to city staff. Madam Clerk?
Our first personal appearance is Corey Pritchett.
Thank you. Appreciate you all giving me the opportunity tonight to share with you what I had to share. Again, my name is Corey Pritchett. My home address is 323 Alice Street, Saginaw, Michigan 48602. I'm here speaking on the behalf of the board. We have an initiative that we're launching that's called the Life Opportunity Initiative. And I'm here today to pretty much let the city know what we're doing and to solicit partnerships and collaborations as well. Again, the name of the initiative is the Life Opportunity Initiative. I'm the executive director, Corey Pritchett. The WHO is probably would be known as a prison reentry, but we're not calling it that. But the WHO, we're targeting people that are in prison with maybe 12 months or less to go on the way home, as well as individuals who have came out of prison within the last 1 to 5 years with felonies, obviously, and they're finding it hard to reacclimate themselves to the community. and that's the who. I was a felon myself for 17 years, and so I know what it's like to try to reestablish and do the right thing and get a job and, you know, restore relationships with your children and your family. And so I personally understand those things. We want to really address the barriers that individuals have, the employment, the workforce skills, transportation, shelter, psychosocial emotional deficits, educational and vocational development, consistent health care, primary health care, and the lack of coping skills, substance abuse, and insight to resources. Why do we want to do this? Well, we believe that the family is the foundation of the community. When a lot of men and women go into prison and they come out, well, depending on how that family is restored, depending on how that individual comes along, well, pretty much depends on the productivity of that family. If we can mend more families, we believe that we can have a more productive community. We also want to assist the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan is actually doing a really good job right now. Michigan's recidivism, which measures the percentage of offenders who return to prison within 3 years, has dropped to 29.8%. Okay, so this places Michigan at the top 10 states in the nation with the lowest recidivism rates. We want to add to that. We want to collaborate, partner with other organizations, other businesses, city council. We're trying to pretty much develop. We're really trying to develop the board for the steering of it, and we're trying to get all the elements needed to create a wraparound for these individuals.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker tonight is Steve Lamb.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Lamb. I'm the AFLCIO Labor Liaison at United Way here in Saginaw County. Because of the labor partnership we have between United Way of Saginaw County and United Way of Bay County, myself and the labor liaison from Bay County, Archie Gittens, have put together a Union Community Activist Network classes, UCAN in short. We bring in resources to educate everyone on different topics that may affect our community, so everyone attending would know where to go if they need assistance. The first class we had this year was on mental health. The next class is April 24th, which will be on senior resources. It's from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at the CWA Hall, which is 1614 Mershon Street. These informational classes are free to anyone who would like to know about what resources there are for seniors and information for their protection on fraud, whether it's phone, internet, or mail. When you attend this class, you can take the information to friends, coworkers, neighbors, even yourself that may need assistance. On May 22nd, the topic will be low-income housing. Then on June 19th, we will have the last one for the year, which will be on veteran services. Both of them will be held from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at the CWA Hall. As Labor and United Way, we engage our community with these classes so people have a better understanding of what the issues are and where to go to find assistance. If you are interested in attending or have any questions, you can contact me at the United Way of Saginaw County. My number is 989-776-0557, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Mayor, we are now at remarks of council.
And I'm supposed to remind council members of the 5-minute limit. And we begin with Councilman Clint Bryant tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I see that we made it here despite the horrific weather that we have had. I just want to say thanks so much to Consumers Energy and all of our streets crew who's been out lately taking care of restoring power and getting those branches up. We did not expect this storm by any means, but they did a great job. I was planning on patching potholes with Mr. Carwatt this week, but that didn't happen. We'll see you next week. Otherwise, I just want to say thanks so much to our public speakers, Mr. Pritchett. I believe I met you at Ezekiel Project event. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing involving recidivism. That's very important in our community. at our last at the last MML conference, myself, the mayor, and Councilman Balls, we did a breakout session about that and how important that is in our community. So thank you for your work. Mr. Lamb as well, you never cease to amaze us. I hear you're cooking on Thursday. If I can make it, I will be there for the These Men That Cook event. I know Councilman Milne will also be there. So thank you so much. You keep going and going and going. So thank you so much, Steve, and thank you also for our calendar for United Way. So really that's about it. I want to say thanks as well to Mr. Harge and the Green Team for all the work that they do. If possible, I'll attend that event on the 1st. And also thanks to the Bar Association. They're a great partner with us when it comes to Beautification Day. For the last 4 years, they've been a very big sponsor and a big help for that event. April 23rd, here in Council Chambers at 5:30 p.m. We'll be meeting to discuss Beautification Day. We'll be planning, I think that will be our second to last planning session, but we're off and rolling. So thank you, Ms. Vicky, for all your help and your support that you always do. It's a great day. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. And Councilwoman Brenda Moore.
Good afternoon, good evening. I'd like to thank our presenters, Mr. Pritchett and Mr. Lamb. Thank you so much for what you do for our community. I'd like to thank the young man with the green, with the trees. Even though I got some dead ones in my yard, I'd like to get them out of there, but maybe I could plant some new ones. And I'd like to thank the Bar Association. The weather has been horrendous. I had the opportunity to be in Bowie, D.C. over the weekend. Well, I left Wednesday, doing a conference for Michigan Municipal League. The city is, a lot of people are looking at Saginaw in a lot of different ways. I'll be bringing back some things to the mayor and the city manager at a later date. Thank you so much.
And Mayor.
Thank you. Just a quick welcome to everybody. Mr. Pritchett, thank you. What you're doing is really significant. Those who have served time in prison do have a very difficult time often reintegrating back into society. So the initiative you're proposing hopefully will be able to assist those, particularly those Saginaw residents who we want to be productive members of our city. So thank you. And Mr. Lamb, the programs you're proposing as well, I think will be beneficial to our citizens. So thank you for that initiative. I'm glad to hear that there will be at least 2 representatives from City Council at the These Men Can Cook program for the Saginaw Bay Symphony Orchestra coming up on Thursday. I challenged the mayor last year, and he couldn't last year, but I haven't heard any excuse this year, so I'm not sure, I'm not sure why I haven't heard more about some cooking from our mayor, but unfortunately, I cannot even be there. So I have a conflicting event, so I will not be there, but if for those who don't know what it is, it's a wonderful event to give a chance to people to taste the cooking product of those men who want to accept the challenge to show they can cook. So, any other members of the council who would qualify? That means males would be able to, but the females would be welcome to attend and enjoy the culinary delights. With that, I have nothing further. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. Thank you to our public speakers, Mr. Pritchett and Mr. Lamb. Mr. Lamb, there's certainly no limit to the good things you're involved in, and I would really encourage everyone to attend the April 24th event, and any of them that you can. But Annette Jeske, who is one of the most knowledgeable people from Region 7, whose board I serve on, will be there to share information with folks, and she's always got wonderful information to pass on, useful information to share with the community. So please make sure you can attend those if you're able. Mr. Pritchett, just echo what Councilman Clark said, that I think I know people personally, I know people personally who have struggled, made a poor decision early on in life. Sometimes it's not necessarily early on in life, but the ability to get back on your feet and bend those bridges and heal families. It's something that's very challenging for them, and it is a wonderful thing that you're doing, and I wish you the best of luck. And certainly if there are ways the city council can be a part of that and help that succeed, please come back and let us know. I also wanted to mention that I had the opportunity to attend the Positive Results Downtown annual meeting. Was it the 44th annual? But I wanted to commend our city manager who was there and their keynote speaker. He did a very wonderful job, as always, representing our city and talking about the great things that are happening downtown and really all over the city. So very nice to have you there for us. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to, I guess, concur with my city council members and what they said about the public speakers. Mr. Pritchard, thank you for your activity in the community, very involved in the community. I think you have a proven track record in accomplishing issues that you and your organization have recognized or identified, most specifically the HIRE program through First Ward. You're pretty active in that, in which the organization saw that some of our kids were missing soft skills as far as the skills necessary to get to college and once you out of college to be prepared for interviews. So, and statistically you have proven to do that with the kids there, and so I have every confidence that whatever happens here with your reentry program, I'm sure it'll be successful as well. Hopefully, if it qualifies, maybe you can get in contact and maybe attend a workshop with our block grants. It sounds like it could be a possible candidate for funding in that way. So maybe your organization can keep an eye out on that. But thank you for your involvement in the community, Mr. Pritchard. I just want to say hi to Ms. Collison back there, and I'm sure she's here for agenda item number 2. Ms. Collison, from my understanding, she saw that a previous organization was doing the art fair, and she didn't want to see that go by the wayside, so she collaborated with the Old Town Saginaw Association and I guess picked up the mantle there and trying to sponsor that art fair, which appeared to be a very popular event last few years. So thank you so much for your community, or for your involvement in the community. Also the spouse of the most recent past Bar Association president, so Mr. Collison is pretty involved in the community as well, so thank you both. Mr. Lamb, thank you for your involvement in the community. I don't think we ever met personally, but I hear wonderful things about you, and thank you for your successful contribution to the community. Thank you, Mr. Lamb. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Most recently, I attended the Great Lakes Bay Regional Youth Leadership Institute's banquet for the finish of their year, and I just want to let everyone know our own Mayor Browning was prominently featured in the program from his presentation at the Legislative Luncheon earlier this year, and he's been a big supporter of that program, and it's always nice to see the young people, and every year they're offering 10 scholarships now to participants in that program, and they handed those out that night. April is tax month. And I want to remind everyone that there is a wonderful opportunity on your city tax form to contribute to the fireworks committee, to put the fireworks on every year. And it's a simple check-off box. You can take part of your refund, and it's the most painless way to support the fireworks I know of. And I don't know of any other city that does it this way, that gives them an opportunity like that to support the fireworks. So please remember that. Every year in April, donate to the fireworks. I did also want to mention I attended the same Positive Results Downtown Lunch and Awards program, and I just wanted to congratulate all the winners. It recognized all the new young businesses we have coming in downtown and in the Riverfront District, Old Town area, and it's a lot of energy and a lot of young people receiving these awards. So it was a very, very rewarding luncheon to be at. And that's all. I'll pass, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the citizens for coming and making the reports that they have today. Mr. Lamb, I'm so happy to be a UAW member like yourself. Knowing that labor always gets involved in helping out the community. In this class that you have in Senior Resources and Fraud, I think is an excellent class. I just got a phone call the other day. A guy told my wife that he was from Dow and that something was wrong with our vehicle and was trying to get my wife to say yes. Well, my wife used to work for a telephone company, so she know not to say yes to anybody on the telephone. And the number came from Dow. So the guy, they stole the numbers from Dow and called your house and try to get you to say yes. A lot of seniors don't know anything about those situations, and we have elderly people in our family, and I'm sure they'd have called, they probably would have said yes, somebody says about their car. So for you guys to be doing this, I think it's really a great thing for our community. Thank you very much. I can't imagine how it could be to have a job where they pay you from to help the community out at the same time. It's a beautiful thing. Mr. Pritchett, I'd like to thank you, too, for your efforts in the city of Saginaw. If there's anything I can do to help you out, you're more than happy to give me a call. You know, that's one of the greatest things we can do is to serve our fellow man, especially people who have been incarcerated and have paid their time to society. You know, now they want to come back and help their families out. You know, that's one of the biggest problems amongst African-American males and other people as a whole is to go to jail, spend your time in jail, then you can't come back and support your family. You know, that's a terrible situation. I think we need to wrap our hands around that. I've been involved in Big Brothers and Sisters program for 30 years now. I try my best to help keep the kids from getting into that spot, and so far none of them have. But if anything I could do to help you out, let me know. I did want to ask the city manager a question about the obsolete properties and how they go on a separate tax roll. I was curious to know, is there a spot on the budget that shows how much money we generate from that?
Well, I'll answer that when we get to my time.
Other than that, I don't have any other comments. I'd like to thank people for coming to the city council meeting this evening. Thank you.
Well, thank you to all our speakers and presenters today. Our council members covered that. Mr. Pritchett, interesting, I attended a committee meeting today at STARS on there, and the steel company out of Pigeon, Michigan hires STARS, and they transport workers, 109. And today we learned that they are really having trouble getting workers. They're really having trouble. It's free transportation from the center downtown out to there, and they bring you back. I mean, so transportation really shouldn't be an issue. But I know they're struggling to find the workers, and I hate to have them go to a different community to see if they can find more workers when I think we have some here. But there is a high turnover. I know that during the week we transport 109 during the week up there, 109 workers, and you know, so there's always there's some opportunities somewhere. We hope that we can maybe plug into, or maybe you've already known about it, but I certainly wanted to pass that along just in case. I know right now that they're struggling to get some additional workers, so that might be an area, an avenue to even look at. So I just wanted to pass that on there. I can give you more information later for that, and who to contact up there for that, and see how they do that. But I know they are looking for more workers. So if we have city employees who are looking for a job, I mean, it's certainly an opportunity and a place to start until you found something else or something different. So, okay, with that, Madam Clerk.
Now at reports from the manager.
Thank you. So first, I'm going to ask Lori Brown to come up and address Councilman Ball's question about the Oprah tax roll.
It actually shows up in the real property line item. It's not separated out. So it nets real and personal. So the Oprah taxes would go in with the ad valorem in that line item.
So is there any way to separate the two if I wanted to know how much money we get for that?
Yeah, I can provide that to you.
Okay.
It's the property tax warrant is
Yeah.
what it's called.
Okay.
And it separates out every different type of levy.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
With that, I'll use that as a segue to the budget. So Ms. Jones and her staff are just putting the finishing touches on the budget now. The 2019 budget, they're on schedule, and we'll have it delivered to council on time. Per the charter, council must receive the budget on or before the last Monday, which this month is April 30th. That means that we'll be having our budget presentations in May. So you should have already been notified that we will be having a committee of the whole meeting prior to our next scheduled council meeting on May 7th, and then we'll at 5 p.m. And we'll also have a committee of the whole on May 14th at 5 p.m. And then our following regular council meeting will be May 21st. There's no committee of the whole, but that's where we will put the budget for passage on that council meeting. Yes?
The one meeting is simply a committee of the whole meeting. There is no council meeting, it's just committee of the whole.
Yeah. That's the 14th, yeah. Committee of the whole, so we won't be voting on any items. We won't be asking you to vote on any items during that meeting. It'll just be presentations regarding the budget. I'd also like to congratulate Saginaw Valley State University had the first robotics competition again last week and this weekend. I think they had it last year. That was the 2018 state championships for that competition. It's in our region, the teams get a lot of support from Dow and the schools here. It's a great opportunity for those students to learn about STEM, and we could tell you from I think Beth London coming up could tell you, and Phil Carwat could tell you, we do have even here in the city a hard time hiring people who in the engineering field and the tech field. So it's great to have that up here. 1,000 students, I think, attend that, and it's a great event. So if you know any youth that are interested in that, and I think Mayor Pro Tem Clark's wife used to teach or coach that when she was a teacher. So it's a great event and great to have it up here. That's right. That's right, next year as well. So, two other items that are coming up. Tomorrow is the Neighborhood Association Action Group meeting. It's here in Council Chambers at noon. And the Police Chief Citywide meeting is next Thursday, April 26th at 5:30 p.m. The host association is the Fairgrounds Association this month, and it will be held at UAW Hall, 1911 Bagley Street at 5:30 p.m. That's April 26th. And we do have a presentation this evening. Our city engineer, Beth London, is going to present on the upcoming streets projects, or engineering projects. I guess she has more than streets this evening. And if you know anybody who wants to see this, she's presenting at the citywide meeting and at the Neighborhood Association Action Group meeting. So she's going to be doing this presentation a couple times over the next week or so. So I'll ask Beth to come up and give her presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Mayor Browning, Mayor Pro Tem Clark, City Council. Yeah, I'm calling this infrastructure improvements or construction because I do have a couple of park projects I'm going to talk about as well, and a water main project. This is just, the first 2 pages are just a list of the projects. We have resurfacing on Madison and South 14th Street. We have a large water main project on Bay Street between Genesee and Weiss. We have a large mill and resurface project all over the city, and a bridge rehabilitation project that'll affect
4 of our 5 bridges over the Saginaw River. We have the Ojibwe Island Improvement Project, and for the first time, we're hoping to do an ADA sidewalk construction project. We have a sidewalk replacement project. We did one last year. We're going to do another one at the after July 1st, and then we're going to try a Cape Seal project. We were going to try it last year, but we ran out of money, so we have that back on our docket. Madison between Fayette and Niagara, I think I talked about this last year. It was supposed to be a project that was done last year, and we didn't get to it. It's just a mill and resurface. The water and sewer maintenance installed a new water main between Fayette and Michigan, and we're going to resurface from Fayette to Niagara Street, and it'll include new ADA ramps at Fayette and Madison, and we're going to reconstruct the intersection of Niagara and Madison. We are taking bids on that tomorrow and expect to start construction in the middle of May with the completion date in the middle of July. With that's a nice picture of the pothole that's at Niagara and Madison. And the road will be closed through traffic. We'll obviously maintain traffic to the local businesses and residences. This project is being bid with South 14th Street, which is our 2017 CDBG project. It's a half a mile. It's 4 large 600-foot-long city blocks, and this will be the new STARS route. They're driving on 15th and 12th in this area, but they're going to move to 14th because it's a major street. They're driving on local streets, and that's why we're resurfacing it. It's pretty much the same thing. It's a mill and resurface. We are replacing some catch basins, all new ADA sidewalk ramps, and there are a lot of full depth pavement repairs. Okay. This shows your, I'm not going to go through the schedule. It's the same as Madison. It's being bid with Madison. It has the same construction schedule. Well, we're going to mill and resurface, but if you drive down, like where that pothole was at Niagara and Madison, that whole intersection will be removed and replaced. So there will be base material, aggregate, either asphalt base or concrete base, and in the case of Madison Niagara, it'll have a new curb radius.
To encompass a complete repair. You went said curb to curb in that particular area.
Yes, in that area, but that's the only area on Madison that's getting a full depth pavement repair. On 14th Street, if you happen to drive that street, you'll see along the curb line, there's a lot of areas that will have, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet away from the curb is going to be dug out and the base put back in because the road is completely failed. We're trying to save it. And every block is not the same. So some blocks are in worse shape than other blocks. Yes.
If it includes areas where there were demolitions when we weren't doing curb cut replacement, will any of those be done? These would be demolitions from, say, 5 to 10 years ago where they didn't always pull them.
Are you saying there's asphalt curb there? Because I thought we took care of all of it.
No, that's what I'm saying. These are demolitions that were not up to the current standard. If there are any in that area, will there be?
We are removing some curb sections, but whether or not that's where there were demolitions, I guess I can't answer that question. I'd have to look into it. If it's owned by the land bank, we don't put those the curb goes back full back because that's what the land bank wants us to do. If it's owned by someone privately, we can't take that out unless they ask us to or agree to. Yeah, because that's what they asked us to do. Now, I will say that they've asked us to do that in a couple of situations where there was a transaction that then followed and the property owners bought it and then we had to go back and put the curb cut back in. So, yeah. I'm not going to go through the funding, but the funding is on your handout. That is 2017 CDBG money. Next, we have a very large water main project on Bay Street between Genesee and Weiss. This project is being done because the Michigan Department of Transportation is going to resurface M84 or Bay Street between State Street and McCarty. Their project was going to start in June. They have graciously moved the schedule to September so that we could get this water main project done. Our project will go from Genesee to Weiss. It includes 2,900 feet of 6-inch water main replacement. The existing water main is cast iron. We will be replacing fire hydrants, water services, extensions, and of course we have to do full depth pavement repairs because MDOT is only going to be resurfacing, milling and resurfacing the top 2 inches. This should be out for bid tomorrow. We're taking bids on the 1st. Our schedule will pretty much take up June, July, and August. It is a $1.1 million project. We will maintain 1 lane of traffic on Bay. We have to work around mobility restrictions that MDOT has on State and Davenport. That means you can't close a lane of State Street between the AM peak of 7 to 9 a.m. and Monday through Friday, and you can't close a lane during the PM peak on Davenport between 3 and 5. So this project's going to be very challenging. It's going to be very difficult for people traveling in that area. And the traffic control is 18 pages. I think the water main is a lot less on the plan sheets, so it tells you how interesting it'll get. West Genesee will be closed and detoured using Congress Street. So that is something to note. That'll be down, well, yes, pretty much. There might be times when you can come from the east and turn south. But for all intents and purposes, the detour will be in place. Yes. So the water main will actually be bored. The main part of it will be bored, but everywhere there's a service, we will have to dig. And we're going to open cut all the connections at all the intersections. So although we're trying to make it as disruptive or as non-disruptive as possible. Okay, that was a slip. It will be disruptive completely, so. This is probably what I'm most excited about this construction season. It's our 2018 mill and resurface project, and 5 miles of mill and resurface. Some are 2, some are 1.5, some are 3. So for the most part, they're 2-inch mill and resurface. But we are going to try to do these streets listed here. Davenport from the end of the concrete, which is just east of the railroad tracks, all the way to Niagara. South Michigan between Holmes and Dearborn. South Jefferson between Williamson and Rust, or M46. Owen between Arnold and Hess. Weber all the way from Washington, or M13, to east of the city limits, east of Cumberland. And Malzahn between Brockway and Congress. This too will be out for bid this week, and phase 1, which will include Davenport, Michigan, and Jefferson, should be done this fiscal year before the end of June. Phase 2 will be done after July 1st. This is because there's different money sources. And that will include the Owen, Malzahn, and Weber. Estimated cost is $1.1 million. It is Act 51 road money. And our own traffic crews are going to provide the traffic control. We will try to maintain traffic on Jefferson, Owen, the one-ways, but for the most, and probably Michigan, because we think it's very difficult to detour South Michigan. But Davenport will be detoured to Genesee, and Weber will be detoured to Rust. What did I forget? Malzahn, we're also talking about trying to maintain traffic there. just because of the detour route is very difficult. We have a small bridge rehabilitation project. The state allowed us to combine a 19 local bridge award with our local bridge award in 18. Our 18 money is paying for extensions of downspouts on the Center Court and Johnson Street Bridge, and the 19 money is paying for pavement repairs on the Holland Street Bridge. If you're driving eastbound on Holland, the Holland Avenue Bridge, the northernmost lane, you'll notice on the west side of the bridge there's a lot of potholes, or we call them spalls. Those will be replaced with the deep overlay. That's scheduled for the June 1st MDOT bid letting, and we expect construction to take place in July, and that July 9th is a pretty ambitious start date, because after you bid an MDOT job, you have about 45 days before they really send you the project file. So I'd love to have it start that early in July, but it probably is more likely to be towards the end of July. The completion date is mid-October. That's a $271,000 project, and federal and state bridge funds are paying for $257,000 of it. Of interest is that during construction on the Holland Street Bridge, the bridge will be closed and detoured to Genesee Avenue. They cannot perform the work on Court Street and Holland at the same time. And I guess what else I would say is that the Holland Avenue work will not take the whole 2.5 months. Ojibwe Island improvements. This is under design right now. It's the construction of a new trail between, separating out the trail from the roadway, and then rehabilitating the pedestrian bridge on the north side of the island, improving the bathrooms and landscaping, and then rehabilitating. We're hoping to rehabilitate the existing multi-use trail between the roadway and the Ped Bridge. We'd like to bid that in June, and that's what we're hoping to do, with a start date of mid-July through mid-October. The estimate is $455,000. It includes the design and construction engineering, because the MDNR, their grant includes the design and the construction engineering costs. $245,000 of that is the trust fund, Natural Resource Trust Fund grant. We're matching the trail and the pedestrian bridge with Act 51 money. That is a legitimate use of Act 51 funds, and as a reminder, we have to spend 1% of those funds on non-motorized improvements like sidewalk and trails. The city general fund was paying for the match of the bathrooms. The scope of the bathrooms has increased, and we've added the stage bathrooms. So the county had also pledged $105,000 on this project, and we're anticipating using some of that money to pay for the bathrooms upgrade, because the cost of doing those bathrooms is much higher than originally thought. Then we just have a couple of small projects, ADA sidewalk construction. We're going to do sidewalk ramps. We're going to start with ones that are in the complaint system right now. This is at the corner of 6th and Kirk. Hoping to bid that in July with August construction, and we have a $75,000 Act 51 budget. Sidewalk replacement. This is on Brockway, and this was a site of a demolition here. This is also complaint driven. We're going through the list. We have about 3 years worth of projects. If we continue at $80,000 a year, it'll take us 3 years to get all the complaints in the system completed. We're hoping for a July bid with the August construction. And the Cape Seal, which we talked about, I think we talked about last year. Maybe I didn't present it to this group, I don't know, but it's something we're trying to do. There's a big push to do maintenance and preventative maintenance of our roads coming from Lansing as well as Washington. And the Cape Seal is kind of a chip seal, which I know everybody doesn't like, but then you microsurface over it, which helps contain those stones. And we're hoping to do this on West Michigan, which is from the city limits to Holmes, where we would be doing our resurfacing project, and also Mason from Brockway to Remington. And we hope to bid this in August with September construction. This is a budget of about $200,000. Then this is a list of what our streets crews might be working on this summer. I say might because this gets switched around a lot based on availability, based on weather, availability of materials, and even construction. If we have a utility company, Consumers, I think people know they're on the west side right now, but if we have utility crews working in the area, it might not allow us to do what we want to do on our road improvements because somebody might have a detour on a road that we want to work on, so we coordinate all of that. But one thing I do know is that they are planning to go back to Court Street again. Westbound from Hardin to State Street, he'd like to finish that section, and then eastbound from Hardin down to Alexander. Davenport, the concrete piece. So we're going to mill and resurface the asphalt piece. It's just east of the railroad tracks, but you have the concrete piece from Michigan to just past the railroad tracks, and then you have the slip lane. So we're going to see what they can do. It's pretty ambitious. If you've been in that area, you'll notice there's a couple panels that are completely blown out by the off-ramp. So we'll see. Hopefully they can make those repairs and keep it together until we can get there with something more substantial. Then they have some little things planned. Rose Lawn Court, Bloomfield Boulevard and Bridgeton off of Washington Road. There's some drainage issues where the water's coming off. We're going to try to work with the road commission and fix that. Blackmore Street from State to Davenport. Brenner from Congress to Davenport. But Brenner is the detour route for Genesee closure for the Bay water main. So that project cannot be done. If we're going to do it, it'll be after we're done with Bay Street water main. And then 17th Street from Walnut to Cherry. Future construction. A lot of discussion about Wicks Park Drive and the conversion of the road to a non-motorized trail. That is under design. The city received a Iron Bell Round 3 grant, and the county received a Iron Bell Round 2 grant. We combined our funds, and we have Spicer doing the design on this. The idea right now that we're working towards with the design is to close it to through traffic from Naval Reserve Drive or the boat launch. After you go east off of 13 around the corner going north, we would close it just north of Naval Reserve Drive, and it would be closed all the way up to just south of Fordney, so you'd still have access to the parking lot just south of Fordney. Our idea is to apply for a TAP grant, which is a Transportation Alternative Program grant for non-motorized trails, but we're hearing that the state is out of money for 18 and 19, so we might have to look at different funding if we want to get that done in 19. We have Lapeer Avenue reconstruction and water main. That's our community development block grant project for 18 and 19. It goes from 6 to 11. There's a 4-inch water main there that we'll be upgrading to a 6-inch water main as part of our road project. Our next big federal project with our federal road money is Mackinac Street reconstruction in front of Arthur Hill. That goes from Congress to state. That'll be about a $2.6 million project. And then we have Hardin. We're going to reconstruct Hardin. I think I said that before, so we'll see if that comes to fruition. And Niagara Street's our 2020 major federal project with federal road money. And those two, the Mackinac and Niagara, are programmed. After 2020, we're making our tip, presenting that to SMAT and the County Planning Commission on what we want to do for the next 4 years. So it'd be 2021, 2022, 23, and 24. What else can I say? I think that's all. And questions?
Go ahead, Councilman Mill.
This question is also addressed to the city manager. I would ask that as much as possible, these major improvements to the pavement, we get some help from our friends in the press, and we make sure people know these improvements are happening. These are the questions. We get more personal appearances about the street in front of my house. It's been terrible. It's been terrible for forever, is usually their term. And I know the West Michigan and South Michigan pieces, we've had multiple people multiple times asking when is that going to be fixed. So the more we can let people know this is the year and it's being fixed, I think it will be very good news to them.
Yes, we actually send notices to everyone before construction, so every business and residents down there will get one. And I just want to I do want to say something about that, though. That road is a Paisley rating 1. I believe it needs to be reconstructed. What we're proposing to do is a Band-Aid. We will need to come back and make major repairs to that road. It needs to be rebuilt. So we're going to try this and see if it works.
At this point, I know they'll take any improvement.
Right, and we'll see how long it lasts, because when I say I'm planning those next 4 years of in our tip, that's a project that may end up on that tip if this isn't going to hold up. So.
Go ahead.
All that work that's how surfaces or the curb surfaces that we're dealing with there?
In general, the biggest thing about consumers is you have to follow them and you have to follow up with them. Because they don't always come back, and they let out a contract for their patches, basically. And then we have to follow up to make sure they're done and done accordingly. They do pull permits with us, so we should know where they are at all times when they're in the right of way. They are, if you've noticed, doing most of their work out of the roadway. Their idea is they're trying to bore, but they still have to window where they're crossing all the water and sewer leads to the houses. And they've been pretty good about it, but every once in a while we'll hear about something that has not been done, and we have to go back to them and ask them to make the repairs. We dictate what type of repair is made. Sometimes it's difficult for them to find good pavement to attach to, but they do make a pretty good effort to do that.
The reason I ask is there are some patches done on Alice Street. Some of them were poorly done, and I didn't see much follow-up. So is that something we're going to be doing here to make sure that there's follow-up on these once that they put a patch in? You know, that patch can sink, or they don't pack it right. You have problems. Is that something we're going to be doing with that particular area? Because that's a fairly large area that they're doing this in.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have somebody that goes out in the field every day to look at all the work that's being done in the right of way, but I don't have anyone to do that.
Even if we do it at the, more or less at the end, and then identify those that are going to need follow-up.
Yeah. It's mostly complaint-driven, and now you're talking about the Alice one, and I thought I thought that had been resolved, but it sounds like it hasn't been resolved.
No, I think it finally was.
Oh, okay.
But it took
yeah, that was brought to our attention,
it was a
and
problem.
sometimes that's what's necessary. Yeah.
Okay.
What part do the county play in helping us maintain roads? You know, they take county taxes out, and we got people from all around the counties that drive major roads, and we have to sort them to get them out in the wintertime and get them back out and come back and clean the roads off. Do the city ask them for extra money to help fix roads, or?
Our road money comes from your gas tax at the pump. Okay. And there's a federal tax and there's a state tax. So when I talk about spending federal road money, that's coming from the federal gas tax. When I talk about Act 51 money, that's coming from the state gas tax. That's the same money that we use to plow our streets, crack fill, trim trees. It's anything in the right of way. The county maintains their roads. We maintain our roads. Some border streets we split, and it's based on how they're split. Like Hess, west of the railroad tracks on Hess, is our responsibility. East of the railroad tracks is the county's responsibility. Weiss, west of Bay, is the county's responsibility. East of Bay, it's the city's responsibility.
I was noticing that we had, they're going to help us do something with the Ojibwe Island, the county. And I know we all pay taxes for county parks. Are they going to chip in some money for the Wicks Park too?
They are assisting us with the design, and I don't know if there's a plan to have them help with the conversion, but that is why they are contributing to Ojibwe Island, is because all the citizens are paying into the parks millage.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We're going to, that I don't have that on here, I apologize. That has been designed. There will be a repair to the Holland Avenue tracks. The city is going to remove a slab of concrete on the approach, and the railroad, we've agreed to take out a little bit of extra concrete so that we can provide a better transition between the concrete and the asphalt. And the railroad will be redoing the asphalt between the tracks and on either side of the tracks. The plan was to do that before, like in May or June, when the asphalt plants opened. So that's something else that we need to get bid out. Is that what you were looking for? Okay. We talked about coordinating that with the Holland Street Bridge project, but we feel that Holland's going to happen later on, and we wanted to get the railroad tracks fixed in the spring.
You may have noticed that the Ojibwe Island Committee, the Friends of, has been pretty silent.
Yeah.
Is the city still open to our assistance?
Yes. Yes.
I think another head in the back is not.
Yes, 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 yes.
All right, I have spoken
Yes,
with
I know.
Mr.
I hadn't heard
Collison.
anything in a while.
We're going to see if we can't get the group reconstituted.
Okay.
It fell apart due to an inability to find times when everybody could meet. There's interest. There's strong interest. It's just the challenges of getting the group together and getting it rolling. But that we're gonna make it a priority.
Okay, good.
I just had a question. I believe you said there was one project. It looks like it was near, I think, I recognize the building, but it's not coming to me. But you said you were not able to get to it, and I was just wondering, would that be reflected in this budget, upcoming budget, but has it already been allotted for and paid for?
I'm not sure what you're.
All right, let me see if I
Is
can-
it some, when I was talking about the milling and resurfacing and splitting it into 2 years? Or Brenner? Were you talking about Brenner?
This one here. It was the Madison Street, North Fayette, and
Oh, no, what I was saying is that was under design last year, and we were trying to get it bid out last summer, but because we had all of the county, we had all of the federal money last summer, and the County Road Commission has all of it this summer. That's why we don't have a big federal project. So we had trouble getting our own projects out to bid last summer, so that was delayed until this summer. Maybe that's what you're.
okay.
That's what it was. So I'm thinking that maybe when I presented last summer, that project was on my presentation. That's why I brought that up, if you're wondering why it was there 2 years in a row.
Can I? And there was one slide you talked about sidewalks and how it's billed back to property owners, and I was wondering, how does that work? Do they get a bill? Is it put on?
Yeah, what we do right now when we receive a complaint, the property owner gets a letter explaining that we've received a complaint, that when we make temporary asphalt repairs, but they're informed of the complaint, of the defect, and told that they should make repairs. They have 30 days to make repairs, or we may make repairs. Then before we come through with a project, we send another letter that says, we are going to make repairs, permanent repairs. You have 30 days, but after 30 days, we are definitely making the repairs. And it's part of our city ordinances.
Okay. I understand. And I was going to say that at Hardin Street, I'm sure the residents over there will be happy to see that's at least on the tickler, at least what I think I ran in 2014, and that was one of the common questions I got over there. So
I think it's died off a little because the streets crews did do some repairs, and water and sewer maintenance did put some permanent patches in where they had some patches that kind of hadn't been done, so, but it's still in horrible condition.
And if I may, I just had a question. This is not necessarily this is just my opinion. I guess I'm asking for clarification. This is more like it's almost like a priority at the state level to an extent, because I was in Lansing recently. I was in Oakland County. I think even Ann Arbor, even in Midland, it seemed like the roads everywhere are pretty bad. So, is it something that we should encourage our residents to have this discussion with state lawmakers, state reps, state senators, and we have a gubernatorial race coming up here soon, but it just seems like, from my vantage point, it's just definitely not a Saginaw thing, but it's just receiving funding either from the state or the federal side as far as repairing quite a bit of these roads.
Yeah, what's happened in the last probably 4 years is the state has given us more road money. The feds have cut our road money. And our road money here in Saginaw was cut because of the census, the last census. The numbers came out because your road money the formula is, part of it is population, part of it is miles of road. So our road money, federal road money, went down, and so did our state road money, because that's also by population and it's also miles of road. So, but we are getting more state money now to a point where we are above what we were getting probably in 2013. But it's taken us a while to get back here and go above that. So yes, I would say, Governor Schneider's been a big proponent of more road money. He's not going to be in office. And there's no telling whether what's already been promised to us for road money will actually come through. So I think it would be important to keep applying pressure in Lansing and in Washington for more road money.
So
of course, I always want more road money.
So it's even a comment on our residents, and I guess myself as city council, as far as when we do have these discussions with our representatives, how important it is to us. As far as if it's one of the top things we mentioned, then it's probably one of the top 3 things that they'll remember. But it just seems like, even when I was in Flint, it's just like the roads are there, it's just bad everywhere. It's just definitely not a city of Saginaw thing. So it was just curious, but thank you for providing that insight.
I agree with that. It's not really a problem just in Saginaw. Cities all over the state, but when you get down to funding, there's just the funding system is broken, and people don't want to pay more taxes, and that's really, I think we had a couple packages that would have provided a lot more funding for streets in gas taxes. 1 or 2 years ago, I think there were a couple proposals that both got voted down in the state legislature. So there's not really a desire to increase that funding in that way. So the other option you have is local millages. So some places have local millages to work on streets, and then they'll have that additional funding, but we'd have to see if there's that desire to do that as well. But it doesn't seem like, we get across the state, you see the billboards on the interstates, you go to the cities and you hear the same things, but I think at the same time, if you ask people if they want to pay more to repair those roads, I can guess what the answer will be there.
But just remember from past presentations, even if the city did like a local millage, it seemed like it would just still pretty much be like a drop in. It would help, but it still seemed like it would be a drop in the bucket. But I don't know, it's just my thoughts.
I think we wouldn't, because of our property values, we wouldn't raise as much money as, say, Midland does. They have a millage that raises $7 million. In addition to what they get from the state and the FHWA. But I think Any amount of money is something that we could use.
Is there any other local municipalities that have road millages?
Yes,
Okay.
a lot of municipalities have the road millages. Bay City does not, Midland does. A lot of counties have road millages. I don't know all of them off the top of my head.
I understand. But it's definitely not an unusual thing, is what you're presenting to us. It's not.
Oh, no, it's not that unusual. It's just that I think you have to have the right climate. And, I mean, maybe we're getting there with the right climate, but, and, you know, I don't know.
Thank you, Ms. London.
I think that's somebody above me is going to make that decision.
Yes, sir, thank you.
That you're calling something Cape Seal, and that's a new term to me. Is that because the combination of chip seal and micro resurfacing?
Yes,
All right.
the combination is called a Cape Seal.
All right. What micro resurfacing again? Why don't you describe? I mean, I don't know exactly what you mean by that. So.
Well, you're basically putting down a solid surface, but it's very thin. It's just 3/4 of an inch. Whereas when we typically resurface a road, we wouldn't go any thinner than 1.5 inches. So you put the emulsion down. The idea is the emulsion goes in the cracks and seals it, and you're adding a little bit of stability with the stone, and then you're putting an additional layer of asphalt, really, on top.
A little extra emulsion with the asphalt to
Yeah.
hold it all in place a little better than.
You don't, and the thing is, you're supposed to do that on something that has a Pacer rating of 5. It's hard to find roads with a Pacer rating of 5, but those are gonna be the roads that we've done, probably a project on in the last 15 years. After that, it's too far gone.
Okay, which I understand. The second thing I wanted to mention was actually no one has mentioned the possibility of, there's another tax possibility, and that's special assessments. No one would probably, I don't want to say no one would do it, but have we ever looked at the possibility of particular streets where we propose to the residents along the street that would be a possibility if they wanted to do it? It's a long shot, and I understand that. But it might be a possibility that maybe some particular streets or some the residents might be willing to do it. You can do a special assessment in that kind of a context, so it's an option. Like I said, I understand it's probably a long shot, but would it be something we could perhaps propose to them? And if they say no, at least at that point, the answer then is, well, then vote for a millage for everybody to pay.
If I were the resident, I'd say, why is that street done and they're not special assessed, but you want to special assess this street?
Well, and that's always the risk. The bottom line is you tell them because the funds were limited and you can only do so much, and either you want it now, well, you might get yours done 5 years from now, but you want it done now.
Typically, when we've done that for public services, it's been when we treat everybody the same way. You want special streetlights, assessment, no matter where you are, but it would be, I think that would be a difficult.
Yeah, it probably would, but there may be a neighborhood or two. To do it,
Life, when I worked for the city of Lansing, that's exactly how we did our projects. Everyone was treated the same, and all resurfacing was done by special assessment.
Whether it's worth even discussing, I don't know, but don't want to leave it out of the mix as a possible. But that's all I have.
Councilman DeMille.
Question on the sidewalk replacement program, since we're having one this year. Is it available for property owners who don't have a complaint against them but want to do a piece at the city bid rate? Is there any ability for them to come in and say, I'd like to mark these 2 squares, I'll pay for them at the city rate? Or do we have opening to do that at all?
I'm going to say no, because I have to fund the project, so I have to have the pot of money and then bill it out afterwards. And I have people that are asking that. Actually, I have people that have complaints in the system, but I can't get to it yet. It's 2 years out. So I don't think that that would be a very fair thing for me to do. And if I start letting more and more people do that, then instead of $80,000, I have to have $100,000.
So you have to be able to pay for it before you can bill it.
And we're doing a project right now. We started one in the fall. The contractor will come back this month and we'll finish it. So the one I have in here is going to be the one that starts after July 1st.
Right.
So yes.
Okay.
A lot of cities do a sidewalk audit every 5 years. I mean, cities that have, City of Ann Arbor does this, where they do the audit and they tell you, you have 5 squares you need to have replaced. Do it by this date or we'll do it and then we're gonna bill you for it. And they don't have a limit like this $80,000, so they do it citywide, but they're gonna have to do it in stages just because of the limited funding availability.
Sidewalk. Some cities, it's written 50-50 that, you know, they split the cost. Others, the city funds the whole cost. Here, it's actually written that the homeowner is responsible.
And I'll go back the other way.
I suppose the potential of having a millage in funding roads. I mean, is that something we have not? Okay.
He's worked up a number for us at one point, but I don't think it was actually presented. That was several years ago.
Letting them know, what could be assessed and what that would mean to them as far as the assessment. I mean, how would something like that plan out? I mean, would you need a motion from city council or?
Ms. London, you stay right here with me. Please. I don't want to speak for Ms. London. First of all, I think she did a great job. It's a lot of projects in the city. But to answer your question, Councilman Tibbs, we've been talking on and off about a millage, but knowing the financial strains on the city with everything else that millages support, we never know if it's going to be the right time. But I have been working with Beth London and talking to the city manager. We are going to start putting together at least a proposal of some sort. We're going to put together a document that shows you the condition of our roads and the funding that we get now, and how much improvement can we make in any one given year, and what if we do go for a millage. And obviously before we'd even bring it out and think about doing it, we'd have a well thought out written plan that would have any and all of the concerns of the citizens in it to show to you. Hopefully we can have something ready in the next 6 months or so. We're going to start working on that. But the other thing, and I think you were kind of asking about, I know back when I was a city engineer, in many presentations I told you that several years ago the city had over a $300 to $350 million need in its road system. And Beth manages that now, so I don't want to speak on her, but as she talks about Paiser ratings, and there's a scale of 0 to 10, and if every one of your roads were brand new out of our plus or minus 290 miles of road, a 10 is the best. That's a brand new reconstructed road. It's a 10, and within 1 year it goes to a 9, and then over time, especially if you're not doing maintenance, it'll deteriorate. For instance, a concrete street should last you 50 years, a brand new asphalt road should last you 20 if you do maintenance. But if you do maintenance, then you can extend that life, and that's what Beth's talking about doing. But I haven't looked at the Paiser ratings in a while, but I think that over 80 or 90% of our entire street system is at a 3 or less, which is, for the most part, needs to be fully reconstructed. Once you hit a 5 or less, that's pretty much. But what we're trying to do, and I don't know the numbers anymore, but if you can think, for instance, to reconstruct a mile of road is about $1 million. But if you can do a chip seal with a cape seal, which is typically a process you would use out in the rural or suburban, but cities are bringing it now into more of an urban area because of the funding and you don't get a brand new road. I mean, within a year or two, you might start to see cracks resurfacing. You got to understand it's not a full reconstruction. So it's kind of what you're seeing on Court Street. We did that project a couple years ago. That wasn't a full reconstruction, but we obviously had to make improvements to it. I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyway, you have so when you're talking about putting $3 to $5 million a year into road systems, where you have a $350, $400 million need, you just keep chasing your tail. You know what I mean? So. There you go.
I'd like to, Councilman Demont to finish up, please.
I mean, if it was one, it would just go to, as you said, for the repair to extend the life of it. I mean, that would be the U.S.
We put that together, and then we could, determine how we're going to decide how the roads get picked and where the money should go.
And what streets you're going to work on in what order. So I mean that's I think what you'd want to show. It's similar to what we did with the DDA did with the 2 mills that they levied. They laid out what their budget was going to be, and these are the items they're going to pay for, and this is the timeline. I think they would take the same kind of planning for that.
From the other communities to just kind of, as we develop ours, that we know work. So
I'm going to let Councilman Moore just.
And the team, because I know that any time that I've called concerns, I don't care if it was patchwork, but you went out and you tried to make it right for the community. I understand we don't have any money. I understand we may not get any money. But at least one thing I can give this department credit is that they are trying. I mean, nothing beats a failure but a try. So I do want to thank your department for all of the work that you do throughout the city.
Okay. Thank you, Council Member.
I'll say they've done a really good job in changing the way they do business as well, because they've started doing, as Beth pointed out, a lot of work in-house, and I think that makes more efficient use of their funds. So that's really under Phil's leadership, and then Beth working with Simeon Martin and the streets crews to do that work in-house, and I think they've purchased some additional equipment to do that. So that's really allowed us to do a lot more work. So that innovation that they've done there has made it, I think, work better, as Councilman Moore just illustrated. So I congratulate them on making those changes. It's not easy to do that when you have limited funds, but if you can change the way you do business and get a little bit more done, it's really helpful. So I thank Beth and Phil for the presentation, and that concludes the management update.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
We are at the consent agenda.
The agenda's been available at City Hall and on City's website and on SGTV Channel 191. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda, leaving room for exceptions. It's been moved and supported. Are there any exceptions? Any exceptions? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
We are at reports from boards, commissions, and committees, and appointment of board and commission members.
Is there any verbal reports from any boards or commissions that the council members serve on at this time? Councilman Mill?
I would just like to mention that the Brownfield Commission has recently passed a reform of our bylaws. So we will have a new set of bylaws for the Brownfield Redevelopment Committee. And that's all.
Being none, next item is the approval of the mayoral appointment of Herb Spence, John Moten, and Aaron Bedford to the Riverfront Development Commission with a term to expire April 1st, 2013. Did I just take your guess? 2023. Well, I think I just got done with that, and I think I just did. I was moving along. Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Mayor, we are at introduction of ordinances. We have one this evening. Section 32.10, street names, vacation of streets and alleys, of Chapter 32, jurisdiction, streets, Title III, administration.
Need a motion to introduce? Been moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And this will, the ordinance is, this is laid over under the charter provision. Don't I?
We are at resolutions, Mayor. We have a first one here is authorizing an obsolete property rehabilitation certificate at 2230 Euclid Street.
Motion to adopt? And moved and supported. And any further discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Second resolution is authorization to seek fiscal year 2021 local bridge program funds from the Michigan Department of Transportation.
Need a motion to adopt. It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion, council members? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, you are now at motions and miscellaneous business.
Is there any other business council members come before us this evening? If not, been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by aye. Those opposed? We're adjourned.